something to talk about.
Hi. Hi. Welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and I don't have a beard. All right, bye. All right. Welcome to yet another gigantic update, and this is my biggest update. So this is the rest of round 2 for my huge A Song of Ice and Fire tournament, and we're talking about 6, count them, 6 brackets. We got to go through Modern Legends, Monsters, Big Guys and Gals, Knights of Summer and Tourneys, Soiled Knights and Killers, and the random bracket. And this is like all the way back May 12th, all the way up to 2 days ago. I should have did this Wednesday, but I was working. A couple disclaimers. A little sick. I'm a little tired. I'm a lot tired. I'm extremely exhausted. And we have a lot to get through. So I'm going to look over round 2, finish round 2s for the first 2 brackets, Rebels and Legends, which I covered before. And then we're going to get through all the way the rest. So my modern bracket all the way up, right? So welcome. I'm going to look at a couple comments each one since I'm going through 6 brackets. We'll see how much I'm going to look at, but I will be reading off the side, off the screen, or not off screen. I'm going to look through the comments as I go. And yeah, let's look at where we're at, right? So the Rebels bracket ended this way. In fact, we're already finished with it because yesterday the Daemon Blackfyre versus Lionel Baratheon happened, and Lionel looked like he had it most of the day. And last I checked, Daemon Blackfyre snuck it out and is at like 53% or something, which is nuts. And then Robert Baratheon just absolutely tanked. What's his name? Not Daemon Greyjoy. Dagon Greyjoy. So yeah. That's going to be our finals for Rebels, which is a pretty good finals. And then Legends, we had Gerald Hightower beat Orys Baratheon, and then Aemon the Dragon Knight beat Rhaegar, and they're going to be going against each other tomorrow, and Visenya will be going against Cregan the next day. So yeah, that's pretty good for the first 2. So let's jump back and start working our way all the way through. If you don't know what's going on, I do a huge A Song of Ice and Fire tournament, 128 characters, all every single day, and we've been moving through it. I do polls. That's what I'm going to be showing you. So I took these screenshots today at 11 a.m. So yeah, that's when these were. So as far as I know, none of them have changed. So let's start with looking at modern brackets. So we're going to go Barristan Selmy, which you just saw that one, versus Oberyn Martell, and then Corn Halfhand versus Bronn Royce, Arya Hota versus Victorian Greyjoy, and then Garland Tyrell versus Randall Tarley. And it seemed like round 2 didn't have a lot of middle of the road matches, right? It really did seem like there were either smackdowns, like really one-sided, or they were super close. Maybe there was a couple, but it really did feel like I either knew the way it was, 5 minutes after I posted it, like, oh yeah, that's gonna be a Poochie's or a Tucker. There you go. That's gonna be a Tucker, or it's like, dang it, I gotta look at this every second because it's gonna be 50-50 the whole way through. So yeah, there was a lot of both of those. So yeah, so like I said, Barristan Selmy over Oberyn Martell. This one surprised me. I thought this was going to be a lot closer because Oberyn, at least the first time I ever did a tournament, did really well. But I guess not so much anymore. He didn't even make it out of round 2, which was a big surprise for me. But then again, he was going against Barristan Selmy, and he was in the Modern Legends bracket, which, as you can tell, was one of the most stacked brackets, right? So yeah, Barristan beat him 84-16. So let's look over here. And let's find some good comments. Rebel Lord Terran said, if not for honor, Selmy would be the king of Westeros by conquest. That's pretty good. I like that. That's a pretty good comment. Irish Potato Thief said, so long as they aren't competing to see who can avoid accidentally committing a coup. Barry has this. Man, there was a lot of really good comments. Let's see here. Efren T said, as much as I like Oberyn and as much as I believe that Spear beats Sword 7 times out of 10, this is Barristan the Bold, and we know how to defeat Red Viper. And he would know how to defeat the Red Viper, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty decent comments. It says, in Bionic Titan said Barristan the Bold, not Barristan the immune to poison, though even without it, it'd be an epic duel, but I'd have to give it to Oberyn. Yeah, bringing up the fact that, you know, he poisoned his stuff, it's gonna, you know, it's hard to fight against poison, right? That's I think the point he was trying to make there. And then, yeah, I am moving on. So yeah, Barristan took that 84-16, and then we move over to Corn Halfhand, right? That's the next match, right? Yeah, Corn Halfhand versus Bronzion Royce. And this one was a lot closer. Eventually, Corrin pulled it out, but I did not see it. Like, I did not know where it was going to go for a little while. So, Hawk McBride said the fans win this, but seriously, after a fierce battle, the half hand would win. I'm trying to not always read the same people's comments. Jakusaurus, let's find out what is that your name? Dark Sendo 94. Or Jakusaurus said, considering how good of a fighter the half hand is, with half a hand, he should win. Now, full hand Corrin versus young Bronze. Now, that would be a good fight. And then, yeah, that's it. I'll read one from, I forgot my name, said, an old man versus half an old ranger. The money is on Bronze Berserker over the half-handed Hellraiser. You just wanted to use a bunch of alliteration there, didn't you? Like, that's all the comment was. All right, let's get over to Arya Hota versus Victoria Greyjoy. I was extremely excited for this match, and I'm really glad it wasn't a complete stomp like I thought it was going to be. And I really thought, because a lot of people really dislike Arya Hota, I thought that Victoria Greyjoy, battle-wise, I thought Victoria Greyjoy was just going to absolutely stomp him, because I don't know if you guys know this, but Victorian, kind of a low-key dark horse for this tournament. I remember how good he did last tournament. And I think if all he has to do is get out of modern bracket, and if he somehow can beat Barristan, which I highly doubt it, but if he somehow could, I would have him for going to the finals. I honestly would, because a lot of people sleep on Victorian, but he's got a lot of fans. A lot of people want to see Victorian make it. So let's find it here. Should be right there. All right. So some comments. Did I say Arya lost to him 41% and Victorian's 59%. So yeah, a little close. Not extremely close, but yeah, still pretty. Baylor Blake Spear said, I'm sure a lot of people are happy to see this matchup and don't care who wins. I am not one of those people. Hota in the kitchen serving Kraken tonight. And then R Brizzle, let's see if you got a different name I can read. Nope, still just R Brizzle 4. R Brizzle 4 said that this actually seems like a really solid matchup. No, I completely agree. It's a very good matchup. And then George, not that George. George Prishal said, Smoke Hand Vic takes it. Sorry, Captain. Yeah, I think that since Victorian rocks that like dragon hand, a lot of people really like that. Oh man, we have a actually, and it's a joke too. But William Rice said, well, actually, in the lore, he goes, I can't do it. I was raised not to be a dick unless truly warranted. Seriously, this fight would be a show stealer, and Greyjoy wins. Yeah. trying to read more, looking at any really great comments here. Irish Potato Thief said, I refuse to live in a world where these two must fight each other. They simply decided to have a picnic and go bully a Tyrell instead. That's really funny. Oh man, that's a really dark one. Not reading it. All right. Like I said, I shouldn't dwell on each of these too long because we have so much. So I should just find a couple and then move on. But I don't have them pulled up or know which one I'm going to do. So sorry if it's bad TV for me to just like look for them. All right, moving on to Garland Tyrell, who beat Randall Tarley 76-24. This was a cool match because I know the love for Valyrian Steel goes hard in the fandom. So I thought that maybe just the fact that Randall Tarley's rocking Heartsbane, he could win it. But clearly it didn't. That didn't happen. That's not the way it went. Mo11 said, I look at the Reach like I look at Texas. We really don't need the rest of y'all, and we can survive on our own. All the food and fighters and best military minds and knights. That's really funny. As a non-Texan, I mean, I really like the state I live in. I got a lot of pride for Minnesota, but yeah, that's really funny. And then Mikey M, you got a name besides that? Nope. Mikey M said, I'm surprised it's not 100% Garland. Any Valyrian Steel guys? Yeah, Kevin Nutzling said Valyrian Steel or not. Randall seems more like a tactician and a commander than an exceptional warrior. Garland would have been one of the most furious knights or famous knights in Westeros if he had a taste for glory. And that's definitely kind of a big thing is Garland isn't like his brother. He doesn't have a giant taste for glory. And if he did, and if he was a tourney knight, and if he didn't cover his face during the Battle of the Blackwater, I really feel like Garland would be a lot bigger. But he ends as more of a very underrated knight. All right, there we go for modern. So it ends this way. Barristan Selmy will be taking on Corn Halfhand, and then Victorian Greyjoy, Garland Tyrell. That's a good match. I think they went up against each other last year. I think. I might be misremembering that. Or did Oberyn go against one of them? I don't know. What do I think that? Maybe. But either way, it's a new year, and we got new people voting. Different batch of people who are watching this year. For the most part, there's a lot of the old OGs from last one. Thanks for showing up, guys. But yeah, so yeah, it looks pretty solid. Barristan Selmy, I'm assuming, is going to beat Corrin, and I think it's going to be Barristan versus Vic, but we'll see. Money, of course, goes on Barristan getting out of this tourney, but out of that bracket. But I don't know, man. Victorian Greyjoy, you might surprise a lot of us. Probably not. All right, the monsters. I don't know why I don't have this. Oh yeah, this is round 2. Yeah, so we got Weeper going up against Gregor of the Mountain, and then Clayton Sugden or Amory Lorch. None of them belong in round 2. Monsters bracket was so weird, right? Because as you can tell, it's Maegor the Cruel and the Mountain, and then a bunch of other people. And it was fun to just like do a shout out to these really horrible people, like the Weeper got to be in there. Amory Lorch, Clayton Suggs. Amory Lorch somehow beat the Mountain or the Biter, which is, in my opinion, still the dumbest thing that we've done here. But and we'll get to more when it comes to Khal Drogo. But yeah, there's and that's Khal Drogo not winning. I'm totally okay with him winning. We'll get to it. But yeah, so we're gonna have Weeper versus the Mountain, Clayton Suggs versus Amory Lorch, Maegor the Cruel versus Kago Corpse Killer, and then Godfrey Faring versus Rattleshirt. And yeah, a lot of these matches are like, we know the final here already. And we did pretty much day 1 before we even made it in the round 2. But let's get there anyways. The Weeper got absolutely schmammered. So that is our first Tucker. So yeah, 96-4.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, I'll be playing that a lot today because I'm getting sick of it. So yeah, Gregor 96. Yeah, not surprised at all. And let's get into people's reasons why. And let me scroll down. Yeah, there you go. Weeper versus versus Gregor the Mountain Clegane. So Hawk McBride just said, "Rest in peace, Weeper. It was fun." And Grant Campbell said, "Man, I'd love to see the Weeper get wiped out. Somehow creeps me out even more than the Mountain." Yeah, if you creep somebody out more than the Mountain creeps you out, like, oh man, you're a little creepy. Let me get your name here, Clicky. IFL Discovery said just the Weeper. So yeah, I wonder who they voted for. And then Lazy Boy said the Weeper's eyes will be running with blood by the end of the night. That's so metal. Jeez. And then Baylor Blakespear just said, "Oof." Yeah. Oof. And I forgot my name said, "Stop, he's already dead." Yeah, no, absolutely. Poor Weeper. Well, you brought a farming instrument to a fight with one of the biggest, nastiest knights who wears a crap ton of armor with the biggest shield and single-handedly wields a huge sword with one hand. So yeah, no, and you're like, I will weep. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's not gonna work out. Clayton Suggs versus Amory Lorch, or as I say, who cares? None of these guys are getting past the Mountain, but it looks like it's going to be Clayton Suggs who's going to die from the Mountain because he beat Amory Lorch 75% to 25. And I'm still, like I said, a little bitter about Biter being killed by Amory frickin' Lorch. Following that logic, if you give me a sword and armor, I can kill the Biter, which isn't reality. I don't know. We'll get into my gripes with armor here in a bit, so I'm not going to get into it now because a lot of the fandom apparently disagrees with me on it. Kevin Nutzling said Lorch was a coward. Most noticeable victims were toddlers. Yeah, Suggs is at least regarded as having courage, even though he is a thug. He's also super creepy. And it was formerly experienced Hedge Knight, who was known for being a discreetly skilled. Yeah, it's the line that Suggs has where they're describing as Clayton Suggs likes to hang out with the torturers and he likes to help with torturing, especially when it's women. Ugh. it's just oh man, I don't think I'm hanging out with you later, buddy. Also a shout out to Shady Shice. I'm not reading much of their comments or any of theirs because what they are doing mostly is almost every single one, if not every single one. And I haven't done it yet, but Shady Shyster puts up like, all right, here we are, guys. Like they're like my my hype guy, like my play-by-play. Now I'm play-by-play, their color commentary, and then they put up links to either David reads the Song of Ice and Fire clips or videos that I've done per each character or shorts. And I just wanted to give a shout out, and I should at the beginning of these videos. Thank you, Shady Shyster. You're helping me a lot, and that's why I pin all your stuff. You're awesome. Really awesome. All right. Find another one here. Irish Potato Thief said, how could you not love Suggs with those cold, dead eyes? Lorch is going to burn in a ring of fire. Yeah, no, absolutely. Lorch is definitely going to be sacrificed by that guy. Anyone have... Yeah, Efren T said, I'm going to have to go with the man sworn to the one true king. Lorch will burn to a piece of lore. I'll sacrifice the Lord of Light. Yeah, a lot of people are going with sacrifice. And then Lazy Boy said, yeah, the battle of the pig-eyed butchers, could they just kill each other? Can you just both be gone? Suggs likely wins this fight, but for some reason I dislike him more than Lorch. Yeah, I don't really like either of these guys. One guy murdered young kids, and the other guy loves burning people and apparently enjoys torturing women. I I mean, we are in the monsters bracket for a reason. Speaking of monsters, let's move on to another Tucker. You got Maegor, the cruel Targaryen, versus Kago, corpse killer. Let's play that Tucker.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, totes. I mean, it's Maegor the Cruel. Like, what are we doing? You're not gonna beat Maegor there, Kago. And yeah, and like the only thing Kago had going for him is he had a Valyrian steel Arak, but like Maegor has literally both of the Targaryen Valyrian steel, so it gets canceled out double. So yeah, not gonna help you too much. But I'm rocking Valyrian steel. Yeah, Maegor the Cruel's got Dark Sister and Blackfyre. Maybe I should read Shady Scheister. Shady Scheister said, today we've got Maegor the Cruel, who's easily cut through Rorge in the first round. Thank you. Versus Kago Corpse Killer, who made a bit more of a fight of it, but handily beat Elfin Crow Killer. Maybe I should read your stuff. That's really good. And then let's find the most likes here. And yeah, let's go with Efren T said Valyrian Steel Arak may give Kago a chance to survive this fight longer, but it won't be enough. Maegor will defeat him with Blackfyre and finish him off with Dark Sister, and then feed him to Balerion. Yeah, totally. Irish Potato Thief said if Maegor is already dead and revived by Visenya in Taina's blood magic, then it's technically he's a corpse, and that's Kago's specialty, right? That is so funny. Oh my God. I think that is so great that somebody's like, yeah, but isn't Maegor possibly a corpse? I don't have a beard anymore. Yeah. All right, we're moving on. I don't need to spend that much time on Tuckers. Godry Giant Slayer versus Rattleshirt. They were in the same battle. Maybe they should have just this is another one where it's like, can you guys just kill each other? Because I don't like either of you. Not a big Rattleshirt fan, and absolutely not a Godry Faring fan. I hate Lord Commander. Like, I just hate Godry Faring. Okay, Rebel Lord Terran said, I don't like either of them, but I guess I would pick the Giant Slayer because there is no better choice. Yeah, they both kind of suck. Shaded Bear? Is that your name? Oh, it's Ben B, the Shaded Bear. Ben B said Rattleshirt was a commander more than he was a fighter. Yeah, for the most part. And then let's get a name for you because this is really funny. Oh, that didn't help me. Anthropus Mitron said both absolute posers and tryhards. Yeah, posers. All right, there you guys go for Monsters bracket. And yeah, Gregor Clegane versus Clayton Suggs. This is going to be two Tuckers back to back. And then we're going to get Gregor versus Maegor the Cruel. I don't see it going any other way. There's no way. There's no way Clayton Suggs is going to beat the Mountain, and there's no way Godry Faring is going to beat Maegor the Cruel. And in fact, I'm going to call it now. I think Maegor doesn't only beat the Mountain, but I think he beats the Mountain easily. I really do. I think Maegor has this in the bag rather effortlessly. So getting into big guys and gals, we have the Great John versus Iron Emmett, Sandok the Shadow versus Archibald Ironwood, Duncan the Tall versus Brienne, and then Hostine Frey versus Lyle Crakall. These are all really amazing matches, and there's a lot of Tuckers again because you could just see who's gonna win, like no matter what in here. Except I think Hostine versus Lyle I didn't have as pulled, but the Frey disdain is real. So yeah. Wrong one. I'm going to stay right now. I don't think Iron Emmett deserved this, but I do have my Iron Emmett video coming out tomorrow, and I think Iron Emmett's way better than anyone gives him credit for. I don't think he deserved to be tuckered, but he got tuckered, so I'm going to play it.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, he got knocked the fuck out, and not Not well. 95-5. That's just brutal. So let me get over to the comments. Sorry about my cold. I know I already said that, but it sucks to be doing this video when I'm not feeling well. But I've been putting it off too long because I got 6 brackets to get through. I've just been extremely busy, guys. Irish Potato Thief said Greatjon should win, but Emmett cannot go out like this. He had too much aura to get tuckered. 100% agreed. He did not deserve to be tuckered, but definitely deserved to lose. Hawk McBride said the pride of Eastwatch. And Lazy Boy said Greatjon is basically just a bear with a sword. Emmett is cooked. I don't know. Apparently bears don't do very well in this tournament, as we will see later. It's another one I'm a little upset about. But we'll get to it when we get to it. And then I know you have Nicholas Gabby said I love Iron Emmett, but this is a match he can't win. Yeah, I completely agree. And Tyler Chaplin said, is it possible for Greatjon to get tired and Emmett has a chance? Maybe the loss of his fingers will slow him down. Martin proved anything is possible, but Umber wins if it's sword versus sword. But yeah. Yeah, definitely. I was also sad to see Emmett lose that hard, which I feel like a lot of people did. Woo! Not a Tucker. Very close though. Sandok a 90-10. Sandok the Shadow just barely didn't get a Tucker, but still beat him pretty handily. I think just the fact that a lot of people like Archibald kept that from being a full-on Tucker. But yeah, I love me Sandok. In fact, I definitely personally have Sandok winning this year, and I'm gonna be really sad if he doesn't. And I'm also gonna be really sad if he loses and doesn't even get out of this bracket. But he's got to beat Dunk to get out of this bracket. This is going to be really hard. But if he does get out of this bracket, I think he deserved to win last year, and he didn't even make it to the finals. So I really want Sandok to get a win attorney. So yeah. All right. Irish Potato Thief said, I'm half convinced Sandok could have 1v1 a dragon and win. Arches, dude. That's so funny. Yeah, and then Lance Cherry, is that your name? Lance Henry. Sound like a wrestler, Lance Henry. Lance Henry said Sandok is the GOAT. Honestly, that period of time after dance during the spoilers region, reign is most interesting than actual dance, more interesting than the actual dance. And Viserys II's adventures sound fun too. I commented and said I completely agree. I really hope the show doesn't cut out before that, because honestly, my favorite part of Fire and Blood is the last couple chapters in that Regency for the King. That's the King after Daemon or after Dance of Dragons. I love all that stuff. That's so interesting. And yeah. And Sandok's a major part of it. So, yeah. Okay. Moving on. Baylor Blakespear said, this is the Justice for Sandok tournament. It might be. Yeah, I sure hope so. I want him to win that year. That's what I commented. And then Efren T said, if the mighty strong Belwas fell short against Sandok, Ironwood doesn't have the slightest chance. Sandok the Shadow, over under 95.5. Yeah. I don't need to keep reading. You guys get the point. Not a lot of people were pushing for Archie. Dunk versus Brienne. And yeah, almost a Tucker again. I guess we didn't have a bunch of Tuckers. We just had a lot of really close ones. And yeah, I want Brienne. I'm glad Brienne made it into round 2. And I think that she could have made it into round 3, but the fact that I had her going up against somebody who has a really good chance of winning the entire tournament, there wasn't really a chance of her getting out of round 2. But I do love Brienne. I think that she's underrated extremely, and a lot of people give her flack for not being able to beat an emaciated Jaime. That's also earlier on in the story. And even before that, what she did at the melee at Bitterbridge was extremely impressive. But her handling the outlaws at the Whispers like nothing is extremely like one of my favorite. Like, she doesn't really have a problem dealing with these 3 seasoned soldier mercenary killers. And yeah, that all being said, no, she's not going to beat Dunk. And also, Dunk's love in this community means that, again, I think that no matter whoever gets out of Big Guys and Gals is going to the finals. It's either going to be him or Sandok. But yeah, I do think that. So yeah, let's get back into Dunk versus Brienne of Tarth. So I buy in Bionic Titan said this is like watching the Cargill twins fight. That got 15 thumbs up. That's good. And then it's KU. What's your name? It's Caillou. It's Caillou said, Dunk has the power of fate on his side. He has the power of his foot. Then Baylor Blakespear said, anyone remember Undertaker versus Kane? And then a lot of people commented, I do. And I commented, that's gotta be Kane, which is one of my favorite moments. Yeah, Patchface Paul said, thick as a castle wall. And I commented, that quote's about his skull. He's calling himself stupid. He's not thick as a castle wall in a battle. Like, you know, he's, oh, Dunk, thick as a castle wall. It's him calling himself dumb. It's not about his rock solid defense. I'm not saying he doesn't have a rock solid defense, but that's not what the quote means. And then I gotta remember this guy. William Rice said Dunk's gonna wreck Brienne 10 ways from Sunday. Yeah, probably. Duel of Fates level is what Sayduus said. I don't know how to say your name. 1 second, I'm gonna pop this up and pause it. Sorry about that, guys. I had to run off. Heard baby. He's not alone with my wife. He was crying. I helped her out. Helped him get fed. Came back down here. That's it. So where were we? No, we're past that. We're Dunk and Brienne, and I think I was just searching for things. Yeah, somebody said Duel of Fates, which is pretty good. Granddaddy Dunk wins from Rebel Lord Taryn. Yeah, a lot of people making jokes about how he is possibly her ancestor. And then, so let's go with, I'm trying to find this person's name. Alan Khan said they are essentially a match in terms of size, but a bit unfair if people are considering it a fight between Brienne at the start of her knighthood and Duncan in his prime as Lord Commander. It is a duel between each character at the end of their current published material, as in A Dance with Dragons, Brienne versus Mystery Knight Dunk. Brienne absolutely cooks Dunk. And yeah, absolutely. So I do have a major problem is a strong word, but criticism with Dunk is Dunk is a weird one where all of the material we have for him, he's fine. He's an okay fighter. We know he's giant. We know he's really strong, but he keeps losing throughout all the books. He's not the best fighter yet, right? And then we know that he eventually beats Lionel Baratheon, right? So we know that he becomes extremely good. He's also fights in a bunch of Blackfyre rebellions later on. But we know of all of the experience that we know of, or all the time that we get the most information, he's not that great. And then we just kind of hear, but he becomes good. And that makes it really hard to place, well, how good? Does he actually win those really easily? Maybe Lionel beat the crap out of him. Like, we don't know, right? We haven't seen those fights. So he's basically, his hearsay is, but he's great. And everyone kind of goes off that. So it's kind of really hard. And if you wanted to go with when we have the most knowledge of both these characters, Brienne absolutely does cook him from him at the end of Mystery Night, right? So yeah, and I'm not saying you guys are wrong for voting Dunk. Just knowing that he eventually does beat Lionel Baratheon, even though we don't know how, unless it's like Lionel not fighting him at all, but just like bowing to him. But we don't hear that, right? So it's really hard to judge, but I do think it makes sense for Dunk to win. But maybe that's just because I'm just as biased and love Dunk just as much as the other people, right? So who knows? And then let's get to and the other actual Tucker here, because Lionel Craykall, the Strongboar, beat Hostine Frey Sir Stupid here 92-8.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this one's probably I probably shouldn't have named him Sir Stupid, because that kind of makes it really hard to want to vote for somebody named Sir Stupid, but I could not help myself. Sorry. But let's get some comments for this one. Shady Shyster saying this is a fight between two supporters of the Lannisters, Hostine Frey and Lyle Crackle. Promised to be a clash of the giants. Both won their previous matches 66-34. Good to know. Thank you, Shady Shyster. I am going to start reading whenever you have a comment. Grant Campbell said Strongboar every day. Not the only branch of phrase I like are the Crackle phrase. Yeah, no, I find it funny that it's a Crackle versus a Crackle Frey. Then Efren T said, like, Lyle Crackle simply a much better fighter. Jamie himself gives him praise. Strongboar over Sir Stupid. Yeah, I didn't do him any favors naming him Sir Stupid. And then Kyle Nutzling said a battle of distant cousins. Hostine Mother is a Crackle with unknown relation to the current Lord. Both are very strong, but Lyle is actually described as a very capable fighter, while Hostine is compared to a bull. Strength and skills beat strength alone. Yeah, absolutely. I think Lyle completely deserved this Tucker, 100%. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. So we got Great John versus Sandok the Shadow. Holy Shamola, that's a good fight. I do hope Sandok wins. And then you got Duncan the Tall versus Lyle Crackle. Another great match, but I'm pretty sure Duncan wins. And I definitely think Sandok should beat Dunk, but we'll see. I don't think that's going to happen. I just know how much my voters love Dunk. So Knights of Summer and Tourneys. This one we're missing Stefan down at the bottom. Loras Tyrell versus Balon Swan. And then we have Hyle Hunt versus Vardis Egan. Robar Royce versus Bryce Karen, and Humphrey Hardy versus Stefan Fossaway. And yeah, so we got Loras Loras Tyrell versus Balon Swan. This is a really cool fight. And yeah, as you can see, it wasn't a Tucker by any means. 75-25 for Loras. I actually kind of disagree. I feel like Balon Swan should have beat him, but that's just me. But still was a really cool match, right? So Shady Shyster said round 2 arrives for the Knights of Summer with Knights of Flowers. Loras Tyrell up against his brother in the Kingsguard, Balon Swan. In the first round, Balon won with a TKO, while Loras had a closer matchup against Glendon Flowers. Yeah, people really like Glendon Flowers. Irish Potato Thief said, I've been attacked by more swans than I have been by flowers. It's really funny because it's like, how often are you attacked by swans, dude? And I guess it was a reference. He said, no luck catching them swans, and then a 3-foot-tall bird decides your surplus to requirements, brother, you run. I don't get that reference. Yeah, it said fire reference. It's over my head. Kevin Nutzling said, tough one. We know Loras was able to cut down Robar in a mad rage, along with Emin, though he had just been knocked senseless before. Balon was recognized as dangerous by Ario Hotep. Both had very impressive tourney feats. Both fought in the Blackfyre or Blackwater. But we do know the details of Balon, where he's described as leading Lannister forces and returning covered in gore. I'm inclined to say Balon just because he seems to have more practice or practical warrior being is less hot-headed than Loras. And yeah, but really good points. I do feel like that's kind of where I lead is Balon, they're both tourney knights, but Balon Swan definitely seems like he's just straight up a better warrior and hides behind less of a gimmick, right? But Loras in a rage taking out the two other best members of the Rainbow Guard kind of is like the only feat that Loras has that I respect. Like, it's like, all right, Loras might actually be good. Hawk McBride said, I want Robar to win this bracket, so I'm betting Balon. Yeah, oops. And then somebody, I forgot my name, said Taco should do a series of polls of characters Loras Tyrell would date. That's funny. And then Baylor Blakespear said, y'all remember Brienne kicking Loras's booty in Renly's tournament? Loras was the best with a lance and a horse, not a sword. He can't have a horse here, so I'm going to have to give it to Lance. And yeah, then somebody, Emart, said, yeah, you convinced me. I'm removing my vote. Yeah. Upvote this, please. And then yeah, Max says Loras is really good with a sword. And I'm not going to read all of Max's comment here, but because I don't really read response too much. But yeah, like I said, I feel like the one thing that actually does prove that Loras is more than just talk with the sword is him beating Robar Royce, and I want to say it was Evan Coy. But yeah, let's move over to Hyle Hunt and Vardis Egan. All right, pretty good. Pretty solid. Hyle's 33%. Vardis Egan was only 67%. So, yeah. Let's scroll down until I get to this match here. Sorry, guys. And, yeah, Hyle Hunt, Vardis Egan. Shady Shice said both of these knights won their previous approximately 70-30, while I got Hyle Hunt, or we've got Hyle Hunt, a gallant knight from the Reach, and Vardis Egan, a captain of guard at the Eyrie. Hawk McBride said, I like Hyle more. Vardis might be a better fighter. I like Hyle more, but I think Vardis might be a better fighter, and I'm glad he's getting appreciation. Yeah, I didn't know. It was said by somebody in my in one of my live streams. I want to say it was somebody from the Interesting Nerd Club, like said, oh, Vardis Egan just always gets crapped on. And it's like, I only see people talk about him when I cover him in tournaments. And he gets kind of like a lot of people actually consider him pretty good. So I don't know, man. He's getting a lot of appreciation here. Irish Potato Thief said, Hyle's a crafty little guy. He could beat Monkey and Company, but can he beat Statue Man? It's pretty funny. And then Rebel Lord Terran said, Sir Vardis, if you need an example, because Bronn would destroy a Hyle Hunt, Sir Vardis at least lasted a little bit. And, you know, it's kind of, Vardis didn't lose a fair fight with Bronn. He was given a sword he wasn't used to, and then Bronn just knew he couldn't get close to him and ran until he could push a statue on him. Sorry, I told you guys I wasn't feeling very well. I don't know if you're dealing with the wildfires. I'm up next to, I'm in a state that's bordering Canada, and we got a lot of fire coming from Canada, or a lot of smoke coming from Canada. So I've been working outside a lot. So I think that just plus getting the cold, I've been coughing a lot. All right, Robar Royce versus Aaron Santagar. Robar beat him 80-20. And before we move on, yes, does this possibly set up Loras versus Robar, a match from the show? Yeah. Did I know that was a possibility? Yeah. I just thought, oh, maybe it won't happen. And it really looks like we're heading headlong into two different matches that are rematches. I said from show from the books. And dang it, there's this one and then one in the random where I was like, ugh. And I'm trying to juggle 128 characters and not have rematches from last year or rematches from the book or the show. Show's a lower priority. But like, I screwed up twice. I didn't think it was going to happen. All right. But yeah, Robar versus Aaron Santagar. Robar beat him pretty handily. 80-20 is pretty handily. And yeah, let's get over to this match. Shady Shyster said, will the ground today be left bloody as we have the Rainbow Guard Robar, the Red Royce versus the Master at Arms of the Red Keep, Aaron Santagar. In that previous round, Aaron managed 62-38 victory against another Rainbow Guard member, Bryce Karen. Well, Robar had a decisive TKO against Emin Coy. So yeah, I can't believe I wasn't reading Shady Shyster comments before. I love the little recap. It's fantastic. Shaded Bear said Santagar must have been about serious action to be Robert's Master at Arms, and 100%. So that's the problem with this matchup is Aaron Santagar. We don't know what he can do, but we know he could do something. Like we know that he's a Master at Arms at the Red Keep when your king is Robert Baratheon. Like, you must be pretty freaking good. And there's a bunch of really good knights hanging out, and he's the one who's the Master at Arms. So yeah. And then Bioing. Sorry. I don't understand how Dornishman becomes Robert's Master at Arms. Well, Robert's not, he's not prejudiced against Dornish. He made the 8. That's a horrible example of what he's not. Oops, and I just got rid of all my comments. Let's go back here. Oh no. 1 second. I just accidentally X'd something I shouldn't have X'd. All right, I'm back. So where was I? Yeah, look, Rebel Lord Terran just said, Santagar, want to fight about it? Just picking fights, man. And Huck McBride said, after a good battle, Robar wins. I respect Aaron, but come on. Yeah, all the Royces get a lot of love and respect. Does that mean that I think that means he's going to beat the next guy and run into Loras. Maybe Vardis Egan can beat him. Maybe. Can we push Vardis over Loras? I don't think so. We'll talk about that after we get through this. Humphrey Harding, 70% over Stefan Frey's 30. Well, maybe we'll push Humphrey over Robar. I don't know. Can we somehow avoid Robar Royce versus Loras? That is the question. And I just don't see it happening. But yeah, Shady Shyster said today's bout puts two Ashford alumni versus each other. Humphrey Harding, who in true form beat Spread better Uther Underleaf. Okay. 72-28. It took me a while to understand what you're trying to say. And versus Stefan Baratheon, the melee Red Apple, who only narrowly beat Valar Targaryen 58-42. So yeah. I don't know what I was going to say. I'm just going to do what I'm supposed to do and read stuff. Yeah, there's not a lot of comments on this one. Kevin Nutzling said, it's handy because we see both of them in the same tourney. Humphrey was clearly more of a renowned knight. He had won a grand melee previously and defeated 14 jousters at the Ashford tourney, including some very skilled opponents. He likely only died in the trial of combat defending Duncan because he was competing with a badly broken leg. Very true. Rebel Lord Terran said Harding wins. Why? And then he has a bunch of space all the way down and goes Apple Eater. That's why. Because Luthor Brune could beat a bunch of Fossways means that he's down at the bottom. All right. And then Efren T, the only other comment, Efren T said, "May the warrior give strength to Sir Humphrey. May the father judge Sir Steffron for what he did to Sir Duncan the Tall." Humphrey Harding wins. Yeah. No. I was surprised it wasn't more one-sided, but I think it was just because a lot of people don't really know who both these guys are. They're both Duncan Egg book characters. Yeah. All right. Knights of Summer and Tourneys looks so. And how are we going to avoid Loras Tyrell versus Robar Royce? We shall see. I don't think Vardis Egan can beat Loras, but maybe Humphrey Harding can beat Robar Royce. I don't think so, though. All right, let's keep going. We got 2 left. We got to get through Killers and Random, and we're already talking for 50 minutes. So Soiled Knights and Killers. Sorry about the coughs. Luke More Strong versus Jorah Mormont. Oh, my God. We'll get to it. Criston Cole versus Bronn. God, this bracket is so stacked. And then Richard Horp. I don't know. I don't have it updated. Richard Horp versus Daemon Targaryen, the Rogue Prince, and then the Hound versus Luthor Brune. So let's start cooking. And Luca More Lusty right off the bat against Jorah Mormont, 63-37. Wow. Maybe I'm one of the guys. A lot of people are like, I don't understand. I'll read a lot of the comments here, but it's like, I don't know why Jorah Mormont gets so much hype. I don't know how you don't think he deserves it. I love Jorah Mormont. I think he's a big bear. He's a big meaty bear. And some people even justify giving him a Longclaw, which if you want, it's your headcanon. If you want to say he gets Longclaw, I'm not making that decision because we never see him actually wield it. One person's like, we should put him versus show him. So you got Heartsbane and Longclaw. It's really funny. But yeah, we'll get to it. I completely disagree with this. I think Luca More Lusty is a great tourney knight. Don't get me wrong. He won some pretty good tourneys, but I don't see how he beats Jorah Mormont, but we're going to look at everybody else. Hawk McBride said, I can't believe Jorah's losing this. People really do underestimate the bear. Yeah, Hawk McBride, I'm right there with you. I can't believe it either. Carlos, let's get your name. So here we're going to have an argument against him. Carlos Otero. By the way, I'm going to state before I start disagreeing with people that this is your opinion and my opinion. Yours is just as valid. That's why you only get 1 vote and I only get 1 vote. I can disagree, but I'm not throwing anything out. I'm not changing anything. So please, I want you to know that I'm respectfully disagreeing when I do disagree with you. And I 100% value your vote, and I'm glad you vote, and I'm glad you comment. I love that. Please don't let it discourage you just because I disagree. I want to say that right now. I don't want to get anyone actually mad because that's not what my goal is. I just want to be able to argue against you as if I was anyone else in the comments, right? So Carlos Otero said Jorah is a good fighter, but come on, Luca Moore is one of the greatest Kingsguard fighters. He won the Great Melee against Knights of the Seven Kingdoms. Yeah, he did win that Great Melee. I'm not going to say he didn't. Max, here we go, Max. Fire and Blood details what we likely the 2 greatest melees in American history. One is the War for the White Cloaks, where 5 champions fought for an empty spot in Jaehaerys Kingsguard, considered the greatest Kingsguard roster in history. Of course, he wasn't in that. Keep that in mind. But there's a Grand Melee at the completion of Dragon Pit, described as a clash of arms such King's Landing has never seen before, therefore surpassing the War for the White Cloaks. Renowned knights like, wow, I did not realize how long this is. Alistair Rain, champion of the Westerlands, Guile the Cunning, infamous Hedge Knight, Alan Bullock, 3 Baratheons, and many more took part. The melee was so brutal that Queen Alysanne forbade her favorite knights for entering. And Luca More Strong won that and was later named to the Kingsguard. He's described as a big, strong, and a great favorite of the Smoke. Luca More Strong being underestimated because of his silly reputation. Yeah. Of having a bunch of children during his lifetime, and he wasn't known as Luca More the Lusty, but an extremely renowned and respected knight. Everything you said was true. 100%. I definitely agree with everything you just said, Max. He definitely is a really, really, really great fighter. I just put Jorah a little higher. Maybe that's me, because I would get mad if Lucamore got tuckered by anybody. Like, I would be like, what? Lucamore's great. He is. I just really thought Jorah was going to it was going to be him versus Hound. I really did. I thought it was going to be him versus the Hound. And I thought he was going to not only get past Lucamore, but he was going to get past Criston Cole. That was literally where I have Jorah. I have him in that S tier, lower of that S tier, or top of A tier. I really do. Am I in the minority? Apparently, yeah. Apparently I am. Yep. So yeah, that's me. That's my opinion, of course. And then, yeah, here's the one I was just gonna talk about. Julia Luia. Sorry. I got a crazy name too. So he said, why do people hype Jorah so much? What has he ever done? Defeated the Dothraki? I'm already saying, please don't make me calling you out. Make you think that I'm trying not to be disrespectful. Did he defeat the Dothraki? Yes. And how did he do it? Well, he got stabbed in the hip, and the Dothraki stuck his aurak in his hip. And instead of like what I would do, he's like, haha, I trapped you, and then takes him out. And then we never hear about that injury ever again because he just tanks it. We also see him in the pit. We just know of the tourneys he have won. And, maybe I'm just hyping because I like this big, giant protector guy, this big bear. And maybe I'm hyping him. Maybe it's not earned. I might state that maybe I'm the only guy or one of the only people who think he belongs in S tier, and I might be wrong about that. But I think downplaying his fight against the Dothraki is, what did he do? Defeated Dothraki? Yeah, in a crazy way. But yeah. The Punisher said, to be fair, Lucamore is a way funnier character than Jorah. That's all right if that's what you're going with. And then I forgot my name. Say crazy how similar both these guys are. Both won tourneys. Both had their downfalls because of women. I'm voting for the Bear Island, though. Yes, there you go. And then Tyler Chapman said winning a melee versus two of the greatest battles in Westeros 30 years ago. Yeah. Bodyguard versus soldier turned slave informant turned bodyguard. I agree, but as Maxton said right after, winning a melee is way more impressive than participating in battles. I don't completely agree with that. Never mind. I thought Max was going to say something else. I don't think winning a melee is more impressive than defeating in battles. I really don't. People are trying to kill each other in battles. They're not trying to kill each other in melees. They die in melees all the time. Yes, and I know that's what you're going to say. But people die in melees. Yeah, but you're fighting to knock somebody down and get them to yield, and then you're moving to the next guy. You're not just you're just killing people. There's a difference. Intent is very different. But I also don't like what Tyler said, because downplaying what Lucamore did as, so he won a melee. Yeah, he won the greatest melees of all time against some of the nastiest, craziest dudes. But yeah, that's another thing that I want to use to hype Jorah is the Siege of Pike is crazy. And yeah, and then also he's part of Battle of the Trident, like a lot of really great fighters died in that. But yeah, slave turned informant turned bodyguard versus bodyguard. It's a really funny way of putting it. And yeah, I'm gonna read to see if we have anyone else. Lazy Boy asked if Jorah has a long claw, and I said, "Hey, that's all your call." And yeah, I'm moving on. Great match, but I'm disappointed. I really do like Lucamore. As you can see, I'm championing both of them, but I really thought Jorah was going to win. But I was wrong. That's fine. Hey, we're getting an hour in. Here we go. Criston Cole beat Bronn of the Blackwater barely, 64-36. Not barely. It wasn't that close, honestly, but yeah, he beat him. I really liked this match, and I think it could have gone either way. But at the end of the day, you had one guy who fought without armor or without honor, and then you had a guy who also fought without honor, but with way more skill. And that's what it comes down to. Is if Criston Cole also was an honorable knight, then I would give it to Bronn, right? Because you have a guy who's extremely skilled, has won many tourneys, is literally considered one of the greatest fighters of his day in Criston Cole versus a guy who also has a lot of skill, but he's not quite as renowned. He's just some random dude, right? But he fights without honor, right? And you could beat Sir Vardasigan that way. You could beat most knights that way. But the fact that Criston also gets dirty, he's also got that dog in him, makes Criston Cole easily one of the most dangerous people in this tourney because he has that like Kingsguard skill, like a Barristan or an Aemon the Dragon Knight. He's literally up there, but he will rip your helmet off and chew your jugular out because he also doesn't fight with honor. And that makes Criston one of the most dangerous people in this tournament. So that's why I'm okay with him beating Bronn. And yeah, I love Bronn. Don't get me wrong. So yeah. Shady Shrester said today we have two Infamous fighters in the field. Previous round, Criston Cole narrowly beat Lynn Corbray. That was amazing. Bronn of the Blackwater took a more resounding win over Roland Storm. Poor Roland Storm. Big Red Wolf said and got 18 thumbs up for this. Cole beat Dark Sister wielding Daemon Targaryen with a Morning Star. Yes, Bronn is just someone who doesn't let their honor code get in the way of his fighting. I feel like people really underestimate Cole due to his character betrayal on the show. I do agree with that. And overestimate Bronn due to show bias. Maybe. I don't think that show Bronn really showed us any more than Book Bronn did. Does show Bronn have other wins that I don't know about? Because Book Bronn has that win over Ballin, good old Ballin Birch, which is yet another win. Not that Bowman Birch is amazing, but he means but is one thing that he doesn't do in the show, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. But yeah, yeah, hit the nail on the head. It was a Diaper Fang said after that. Diaper Fang, you got a great name. Yeah, and it's actually a flail. It is a Morning Star, which I don't think that I'm not telling Big Red Wolf, oh, it's a flail. You're calling it a Morning Star because he said you didn't say it wasn't a flail. But just keep in mind, I think that using a flail in combat has to be pretty freaking hard. But that might just be me. Hawk McBride said Kingmaker every day. Kevin Nutzling said Cole was one of the most dangerous warriors of all time when he was quartered by black armies. The leaders of spoilers, the leaders had him shot with arrows rather than fight him 3-on-1 because they knew he was just that good. Bronn is good, but he doesn't have that kind of reputation. Yeah, 100%. And then Lazy Boy, and I'm ending it here, said, my new hand is a steel fist. Let's go, Kingmaker. Yeah, and then I'll read, let's get a name for you. Sleepy Duck Crow you. sheep Duckling Crow you. That's the name. There must be a reference that I don't understand. But you said this would be a solid matchup. I think Cole wins at the end, but not without losing a lot of blood. Yeah, no, I do think that. And then Gabriel Kenyo, I'm sorry, said, I hate to say this, but Cole is taking it. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people came to the same conclusion I did. And I think if Cole can get past the Hound, I think he has, I have another, this is 3. The other one's in random, but here's another one that can end with a fight that we've seen before, but I just don't see the who's I'm about to talk about. I don't see Daemon the Road Prince getting past the Hound. But if Daemon the Road Prince gets past the Hound, then yeah, we might have another book rematch. which stinks because I really didn't want that. We got 3 of those. It's really hard, I guess, out of 128 to not have one, or 3 for that matter. We haven't had, well, we had one of them, and it was round 1 because I either forgot or I didn't want to credit because I knew it was a spar, and that was Roderick Cassell versus Bronzion. And I either forgot that happened or I just kind of discredited it because I knew it was just like a spar and it wasn't real, but no one cared. Bronze just stomped him. So I guess that was one I already did, but that was round 1. So these later matches, we very well could have 3 rematches for the finals of the brackets, which is nuts. Round 4, if you will. Yeah, Richard Horp lost to it. Daemon the Rogue Prince. 89-11 is what Daemon. Yeah, he lost 11-89. Yeah, Richard Horp, I love. He's the Crumbopulous Michael of the Song of Ice and Fire lore. He just loves killing. And yeah, but Daemon also just loves killing. Shady Shyster said today's fight we see Dickie Horp versus Rogue Prince himself. Both won their previous fights very easily. Well, Daemon getting a TKO versus Daemon Sand, and the Moth Knight beating one of the Kettle Blacks, and the rest 71-29. So yeah, so Daemon at least got a Tucker out of the deal. Irish Potato Thief said Horp is the kind of a guy nobility would really underestimate until they see that he is a total psychopath. Unfortunately for Horp, Daemon is also unhinged. And yeah, that's what it comes down to. Just like the Criston Cole versus Bronn, where it's like, yeah, but you can't discredit Richard Horp. He's just a psycho and he's just there for blood. What do you think Daemon Targaryen's there for? He ain't there to dance, you know? Like, and that's it. Richard Horp has, just like how Bronn has that killer factor and unhonorable factor over most knights, Richard Horp has, I'm a savage monster over most knights. But sadly, this is one of the occasions where he's going up against somebody who also has that, right? So, yeah. Kevin Newsling said both men enjoy fighting and killing, though Richard isn't close to Daemon's level of enjoyment. Daemon also has Dark Sister. Yeah, that's gonna tip it, and has traveled the world fighting on the back of Craxes. Richard is a knight with war experience. Daemon is a war-hardened killer with a lifelong of range of training. Yeah. Everett T said the Rogue Prince plus Dark Sister. Richard Horp has no chance. Oh, and then I got a spell check because I said demon. Yep. So I'm not the most qualified person to do what I'm doing, guys. I do it because I love it, and all you guys know that. None of you guys are like, Taco's on next level. No, he's not. He's just a dude, and I hope just my overall presentation shows you that I'm not like I'm just a guy with a laptop. So yeah, I type all these on the notes app on my phone, and it must have spell checked Daemon to Demon, and I didn't notice, and no one noticed round 1. Wow. I didn't notice at all. But yeah, it says Demon there. And who called me out for it? Let's get your name. Jules Rodriguez. I mean, thanks for calling me out. I wish that wasn't your only comment we always got. I wish you would comment besides just to tell me I'm stupid. Yeah, please comment more. I said, yeah, sorry, I didn't catch that. Rebel Lord Terran said, seriously, the fact that this is not a total sweep is ridiculous. Rogue Prince wins. Well, come on. People love Horp. I love Horp. And then somebody just said, come on now. HS Game just said, come on now. I'm not sure what you're referencing. And yeah, and then catch a rising star, catch a collapsing star, DMAC, with a cute, I want to say German Shepherd, or is that a much smaller dog that just looks really big? It's either, that's hilarious because the picture is just straight on a dog. It could either be like a rat terrier or a German Shepherd because I don't know how big the dog is. Okay. Anyways, said it's Daemon, not Demon, right? Yeah, it is. I said, haha, oops. So yeah, thank you. And then we decided your name was just Marty, right? Yeah, Marty said, "Call me crazy, but I'm all right. You're crazy." Can I read the rest of your comment? Call me crazy. I'm going with Horp. I don't know how serious of a sword fighter Daemon would be. Always riding a dragon. We do know that he's pretty good. He won tourneys, but lost a crispy Cole. Horp's face is effed up. Because you should see, but you should see the other guy. Yeah, that is a great comment. I do love like, yeah, but Horp's full of scars and he's alive. He's got cut in his face, and he's like, "That's all you got." Dude, if I was in a fight and a sword caught my face, I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm not made for that kind of combat or much other combat. I'm a pacifist, man. I'm here for love. Anyways, let's do our medieval fighting tournament. All right, cool. So yeah, Demon moves on. All right, the Hound versus the Apple Eater. I mean, some of the best nicknames, right? And wow, I can't believe Luthor Apple Eater got tuckered.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's against the Hound, but Apple Eater's nuts. He's scary good. At 95-5. Let's go check out the comments. But I mean, somebody's gonna say in the comments, but the idea that somebody who like fought through it's like 30 men at arms is like, wow, the fact you're getting tuckered. All right, everyone, she said interesting match. One protected Sansa and the other one protected Elaine, who's also Sansa from Bad People. I love that. Yeah, like thematically, I really like this match. I forgot my name. Said Essander's biggest fan. Luthor didn't deserve to lose this bad. I completely agree. I think the Hound should win, but I think that it's kind of messed up that it's a tucker. That being said, someone's about to die for some effing apples. And then Kevin Utzling said, I didn't think it would be this one-sided, but I agree Sandor would win. He's got Clegane strength, and he's been training and fighting since he was a child with a singular goal of killing one of the most dangerous warriors alive. Yeah, totally. And then let's get your name. Wow, that didn't help me. You want a Nathan Charabia against Edom? I don't know what any of that means. But yeah. You said Luthor fights on behalf of Joffrey during the Battle of Blackwater, cutting his way through House Fossaway men at arms to capture John Fossaway and kill Sir Brian and Sir Edwin Fossaway, earning him the nickname Luthor Apple Eater. As a Fossaway sigil is an apple. Yes, all that's true, and great for saying it all. For his efforts in the battle, Luthor was awarded a knighthood and granted land and keeps in the Riverlands at the end of the War of the Five Kings. Yeah, I think thanks for a little history lesson. I have all that in my brain hole at all times, but I don't know if everybody does, right? That's why I've done a video for Luthor Apple Eater. Go watch it. Max, here we go. This is a great example of the way better feat still losing. Luthor killed 50 men-at-arms and defeated 3 knights on the Blackwater, which is way more impressive than anything Sandor's ever done. But Sandor would still win. Yeah, let's check out what I forgot my name. I don't know if I should read comments because they're both really long, and I always kind of feels like it's a conversation between two people. But yeah, so I'm not going to. But yeah, him and I forgot my name. Continue to talk after that. But yeah, a really good point from Max is yeah, Luthor has one of the most amazing feats to come out of the Blackwater, and I think he would lose that Hound. But that's just I put Hound in that S tier. Right? I do. I have Hound. If Hound wins this tournament, I'm going to say, wow. But I'm not going to be that surprised. You're just going to get a wow out of me. Okay, let's go. Because I think it's going to go to a Targaryen. I think it's very likely that Maegor wins this, right? Or something like that, or Robert. But I think Hound deserves it, and I think Hound deserves to be up there. So yeah, I think that's good. Let's finish off killers. So Lucamore Strong should be Jorah versus Criston Cole. What a great fight! I think Criston Cole's winning that. And then Daemon Rogue Prince hopefully loses to the Hound, so we don't have a Bookery match. But if we do, we do. I think Criston Cole or the Hound. Actually, it's going to be Criston Cole, the Hound, or Daemon. I wouldn't be surprised if any of them get out. It's a really good bracket. All right, moving on to random, and that's going to mean we're starting off with the Khal Drogo Thoros, which is I'm going to go off on a lot of tangents. Drogo versus Thoros Amir, and then Jon Snow versus Maekar Targaryen, Adam Marbrand versus Tormund Giantsbane, and Baelor Breakspear versus Ilan Payne. Right? So let's get into Khal Drogo, who won, much to many people's dismay, against Thoros Amir, and pretty handedly, 69-31. It wasn't like a 51-49 victory. It was pretty close. And yeah, so let's click that now. And now we're going to get into the big talk about armor after we get through Shady Scheißer. So two great warriors from Essos face off today with the Flaming Priests, Thoros Amir against the mightiest of the Horse Lords, Khal Drogo. In the first round, the Red Priests of R'hllor beat Raleigh Duckfield, poor Raleigh, 79-21. Well, Khal beat Beric Dondarrion, 72-29. So yeah, just a little less. And Drogo has learned to fight against Flaming Sword well enough. If Drogo got to beat the round one person and learn how to fight against a Flaming Sword, that'd be really funny. Or will Thoros get his revenge for the Lightning Lord? Yeah, I think it's funny that he beat both of them. So Lazy Boy said Thoros was first through the breach at Pike and has beaten the Hound in melees. I know Drogo is more popular, but he wears no steel and is far from invincible. In addition to the curved swords being bad option against armored opponents, so the show tells us. But yeah, I really don't want to, but I'm going to have to get into a rant, so let's read a little more. Mikey M said Thoros wins. Drogo is crazy overrated. And then let's get your name again. Yeah, it's Nicholas Gabby said, anyone saying Drogo is tripping, he might be a mighty man against unnamed villagers or even Dothraki, but Jorah proved Dothraki can't beat armored men. I don't agree with that assessment. That is not why he won. It got through his armor. His sword, the guy's Aurak went into his hip. It went past his armor. I don't like... All right, I can't even make it. Let's make it through that comment before I just lose the plot here. He can't beat armor men, and Thoros having a flaming sword. He may be drunk, but he's one of the best sword fighters of this setting. Okay. Somebody is on my side here, but they went into a big argument, which I'm not going to get into. But yeah, I'm going to get this person's name. Yeah, Mo11 saying, bro, Dothraki have beaten many armor forces. What do you mean? They have conquered entire gated and walled cities with fully armored armies, not just villagers. There's a reason why sellsword armies and Essos fear against them. Come on, the flaming sword is all Thoros brings to the table. I don't agree with that, but we all know, yeah. So, and then yeah, he's beaten hounds in melees. So yeah, right away, Mo11 is that? Sorry, I'm like Mo11 versus Nicholas Gabby. Gabby doesn't jump right away to bring up the armor forces. He says he's beaten the hound in melees. The hound is afraid of fire. We have to keep that in mind, right? He's not fighting a normal hound, a hound who's afraid of him. He was the first man through the breach at Pike. Thoros is pretty renowned. Yeah, I do agree with let's not downplay Thoros. I'm trying to convey that I hate the armored wins over Dothraki period argument that I've been hearing a lot lately. The sort of armed forces the Dothraki are facing are crappy SOs, slave soldiers, and copper armor. I don't agree with that. Yeah, I'm not going to read all their back and forth, but it went on for a little bit. And then Cannon Fire said, I think that the fire would freak Drogo out. And just enough for Drogo to lock in a yeah, okay. I don't know if fire's gonna scare Khal Drogo. I don't know why people think like Khal Drogo's not like a savage who's never seen fire before. Like we have fire. Like he's not a caveman. I don't understand where people are like, fire is gonna freak him out. What are you talking about? Like, do you think that the idea of Dothraki being that primitive just because they're so different, their culture is so alien, it bothers me. It seems, and I'm not trying to call anyone this word, but it just seems a little xenophobic to me at this point. And it's just like, oh, he's afraid of fire. What is he talking? Like, how do you think he makes food? like he's not afraid of. If there is anything in the text that would lead us to believe that, I wouldn't be saying that, but I don't know why somebody would think that. Do they really come off that primitive? I don't think they're superstitious. They're afraid of the ocean because their horses die, so that's a little primitive. But like, I don't know, man. I don't like the narrative that fire would scare them. Rebel Lord Terran said it would be a damn interesting fight with all the drinking and flaming sword, but I do believe Drogo would win. Yeah. So I'm still reading. Everybody always does. So this is. I don't realize so many people were arguing with me here, but Corianite Rivers, Coriante Rivers. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. Said everyone now is discounting horse lords for not wearing armor. It would make them like 5 times faster, and at least a big burly guy in all that armor hit a few of those weak spots in the armor, and it's a wrap. Drogo has the longest braid in the Khalasar because he never wins. And a lot of people are saying like, yeah, but there isn't. He was on. Yeah, and then Matthew. Sorry, this is Mike. The name I was using earlier. Sorry. Nicholas Gabby said he was undefeated against other unarmored barbarians. I don't like saying barbarians here, and peasants. Jorah proved that Dothraki don't do dick against armor, really, because he got past Jorah's armor. So I don't know. Again, this armor is I hate it, and it got brought up a lot. And I'm not going to read all of them, but it really, really bothered me. And it's like, what? So one sellsword one guy from the Second Sons can put on armor and then just rule SOs? Like, why do you think people who can afford sellsword companies that are not slave soldiers, I'm talking sellsword companies, I'm talking the Second Sons, I'm talking the Golden Company, right? Like, cities would rather pay the horse lords for them to leave than pay the Golden Company to just wipe them out. They would never have to worry about them again. And if the Golden Company or the Second Sons, just one of those dudes in armor is impervious to all Dothraki kind, could just destroy an entire Khalasar. Like, I don't understand the disdain towards all Dothraki fighters. And I just don't. Like, yes, they're not wearing armor. They're going up a hill. I do say, I'm not saying armor isn't an advantage. Armor is an advantage. But it's one the Dothraki have heard of. And apparently they have seen armored fighters. They know it exists. And they have gotten enough success without like, ooh, we get killed easy. Maybe we should buy armor. Apparently they don't get killed easy. And that's why they never came to that conclusion. Right? So, and also the Arak just immediately being stopped by all armor. We also know that's not true. And if you're bringing up Barristan Selmy right now in the comments, keep in mind that Barristan Selmy did not win against Kraz because of his armor. Kraz's sword got stuck on a tapestry. The scene that you're thinking is show only. The Arak just bouncing off the armor, that's a show thing. it gets stuck in his hip, which is on the other side of his armor, right? His body's actually underneath the armor. So we do know it gets past armor. And then the other win over Kraz, that Barristan Selmy, like Barristan Selmy didn't need an advantage to win, by the way. It's because of it gets stuck in a tapestry because they're fighting inside of a building. They're fighting in the quarters of Hizdar Lorak, right? So anyways, I understand that armor is an advantage. 1,000% I agree with that. But there are literally comments, and I'm going to find them, that are just like, armor wins over Dothraki. I won't have a talk at all. Like, yeah, right here. HS Game just said, armor, people, please. Dothraki literally can't beat armor. When did that ever happen? Drogo fights with an Arak, however you spell it. The thing is not meant for piercing armors or blunt force. It's meant for horseback and quick. Yeah, but we know it got past armor. And then Tyler Chaplin says, no armor at all. Therefore, Thoros wins by default. So, yeah, especially if he has a shield. So Bob Roberts, thank you, said, you're right. Let's toss all the talk about skill or fighting style or technique or speed or strength out the window because one dude has armor. I agree with you, wink. And yeah, I don't want to get this worked up about it. And Thoros Amir could have so easily beat Khal Drogo, and I wouldn't have cared. I think that Thoros is a great fighter. He fought his way. He was the first one through the breach at Pike. He fights with a flaming sword. We know that he can win melees. I'm not saying that Khal Drogo should have beat him. But the people who literally their only argument is, homeboy has armor, so he wins, is stupid. That's stupid. You're better than that. All right. Come up with another reason. Say he has armor, therefore he has a strong advantage. 100%. That is true. You do have a strong advantage because you have armor. But we do know that that Araks can go past armor because it got stuck in somebody's hip, right? Like we do know that. I just don't like it being a complete 100% always trump card against Dothraki. And it seems even a little like prejudice. I don't want to say go past that, but of just like, oh, Dothraki suck. Like that's what it really seems like. Oh, these barbarians I've never seen steal before. What are you talking about? Like they have succeeded in wiping out cities, not just villages, cities. They have turned half of a continent into their sea to just roam. And it's not because they are just stupid barbarians who are going to be murked by the first dude who put steel over his chest. And I don't know. I think Khal Drogo, I'm happy that he wins. But the only reason I wish Thoros won is so I don't have to have this argument and don't have to say this again. Because I know Khal Drogo is going to be going up against somebody next time, and everyone's going to say, oh, armor. And it's so annoying. Come up with something better. Be better than this, guys. And he's going to go against the winner of this next one, which, spoilers, is Maekar Targaryen. And should Khal Drogo lose to Maekar? Absolutely. But for 100 reasons other than Maekar's armor. Okay, that's all. Done. Sorry, I knew I was going to get a little upset about that. Just because you guys can see the comment once and then move on, but I'm at work and I'm just armor, comment after comment. And it's just, somebody even commented on my week update and I showed Khal Drogo win and somebody goes, I'm still upset about the armor. Yeah, I don't care. Noted. All right, moving on. I'm no longer mad. Sorry, guys. Maegor Targaryen beat Jon Snow. Oof. 87-13. So yeah, let's get into that. Sorry about my big rant, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody. I'm really not trying to call you guys names. It was just very frustrating to hear armor the whole week. So anyways. All right. The anvil would absolutely annihilate Jon, is what Rebel Lord Terran said, and yeah, I completely agree. Southern Metal said it true. He helped defeat the Blackfyres, and that was hard. Yeah. I do think Maekar Yeah, Maekar Targaryen's underrated when it comes to Targaryens. I do think that he deserves to be in that conversation with Maegor and Darren the Young Dragon, or other of like those Targaryen kings that could just fight. I completely think that that's where Maekar belongs. Up there, high A tier, if not inside S tier. Efren T said, even with Longclaw, Jon doesn't carry a shield nor wear plate armor. Hey, we're talking about armor again. Maekar will take care of Jon with a huge spike mace. Sorry, Efren T. Oh, man, I can't escape armor. Baylor Blakespear said, Maelor is one king outside of Prime Bobby that will always wanted the smoke. Jon is barely a spark, even with Longclaw. Money's on Maekar Merryweather Targaryen. Maekar Mayweather Targaryen. Want to get into show book stuff. If Ghost can let's find Tyler Chaplin said it. If Ghost gets to help, it will be close. And apparently Bob Roberts was still mad because he commented, yeah, but Ghost isn't wearing any armor. I really tried not to laugh at that. But apparently Bob Roberts held a grudge from before. But yeah. Then Bob Roberts also said Maekar is one of Jon Snow's father figures, actual father. So they are kind of related. And that's hilarious because it's like, Maester Aemon is one of Jon's like father figures, or more like grandfather figure. And he's his, and then somebody just like, Maekar is Jon's great-great-grandfather. It's like, well, yeah, if you believe R plus L equals J, is what it was that I said. It's like, yeah, all right. And then Maekar 100%. A lot of if Ghost helps, which I find is really funny. And Grant Campbell just said, Maekar will 100% kill the boy. That's a funny comment. Good job, Grant Campbell. All right, we got two left. So Adam Marbrand versus Tormund Giantsbane. And Adam lost. So Tormund got 60% over Adam's 40. Wow. I was a little surprised. Let's get to that. And Mikey said Adam Marbrand is specifically stated to be an excellent swordsman and horse rider. I don't recall Tormund ever being considered this great. And then Mo11 said Adam is getting sleeped on, like, absolutely. And yeah, I completely agree. Oh my God. And then Josh Wells says Marbrand has armor and has training. You're right. No armored knight, especially no man of the Night's Watch, who also has armor and has training, has ever lost to a primitive man from behind the wall before. Like, they kill him all the time. Weeper with a freaking farming instrument just murders well-trained knights constantly. Stop with the armor thing. All right. You think Tormund's not wearing armor? Okay. All right. I'll stop. It was still fresh in my head, and like now, and I like Josh Wells. You comment a lot. I'm not trying to talk crap. But like I still had a bad taste of armor in my mouth from the Khal Drogo one. And then Joshua Bryant said Marbrand is pretty good. Tormund is the best considering all things. Marbrand has better arms and armor. Here we go. Slight edge goes to Marbrand. And then Ricey just said "har," which is good. Yeah. There we go. This one I disagree with, but I'm allowed to disagree. He's still going to the next tourney. I can't change it at all. I think Tormund is a little overrated, and it's not because of his arms or his armor. It's because we never see him fight. We just know he's a big, huge dude who makes funny jokes, and we know that he has fought, but we've never actually seen it. And yeah, I think Marbrand, I think, should have won that, or it could have just been closer. All right, final one, and it's a Tucker. So yeah, Baelor Breakspear Targaryen beat Ilyn Payne at 95-5.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, totally. And Baylor Breakspear. It's a fun one. Guys, we're almost done. Holy crap. I've been talking I knew it was going to be just the longest freaking talk. Baylor Breakspear versus Ilan Payne. Sir Ilan! Shady Shyster said, fresh off the TO versus Stinger, we have Baylor Breakspear facing off against the silent headsman Ilan Payne, who was a much more evenly matched against his previous opponent, the Mad Mouse. So, yeah, there isn't going to be anyone who's going the other way here. Kevin Newtsling said, no question, it's Baylor. He had the experience of tourneys and war and is known for a warrior. Ilan was captain of Tywin's guard and is a decent swordsman, but I doubt he can match up to the hammer. Yeah, absolutely. Lance Henry said, sad part is that he had to die. He had to die for the line of the Princess Promise. Dany and Jon to be positioned the way they are. The line had to shift to Baylor, from Baylor to Maekar. Did it have to? I'm not sorry, but I am not a Blood Raven apologist. I think that if you want to get to your weird prophecy and you have to murder your family to do it, screw your prophecy. I'm that kind of guy, though. I don't think that that murdering your family is ever justified, regardless of any prophecy that you might assume. But yeah, a lot of people are, yeah. And then but still, good comment. But it's like, he had to die. Did he? Irish Potato Thief said, Blood Raven, I'll never forgive you and your murder fog. Yeah, totally. Go check out that theory if you don't know what I'm talking about. And then Lazy Boy said, poor Cyrillan, if he had a tongue, he could beg for mercy. Good one, Lazy Boy. And then Baylor Breakspear commented, me. All right. There you guys go. So we have 3 potential book rematches. And it looks like it's gonna go that way here. I don't think I can get away from this. I don't think Khal Drogo is going to beat Maekar. I'd be very surprised. Or if Tormund Giantsbane can beat Baylor. So I think no matter what, we're gonna have that one. But yeah, there you guys go. We already got into round 4. Yeah, with the first 2 matches. Oh my god, what am I scrolling like crazy for? We already saw Daemon Blackfyre lose to Lionel. Just barely win over Lionel Baratheon, and right now Robert Baratheon is just full on tuckering Dagon Greyjoy. So that's gonna be our next match there, and then yeah, we don't need to go through all of them again, but really good. Hour and a half. I hope I don't get a chance. I've just been insanely busy. In fact, I'm going to tell you guys more about it next week, probably a week from today. I'm going to put out a bonus video talking about kind of an update for the channel. I don't want to give anything away, so please be there for that. And don't worry, nothing's going to happen to the attorney. I just can't wait this long to do an update again. Woo! A lot of updating. Hour and 40 minutes. All right, I will post this here soon. And again, sorry if you guys disagree with my thoughts, but everybody gets a vote, right? So there you guys go. See you next time. Keep voting. Keep this tournament going. I'm having a blast, even though it doesn't look like I am because I'm sick and pale and tired. But I'm really enjoying this like I do every year. So thank you guys for that. And it wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the support from everyone who votes and comments, and especially the guys who comment on every single one. And yeah, you guys are the best. So very humble. Thank you and peace.